Okay, this is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and this is your review of Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever. Yeah, I just got back from Wakanda Forever. Not a whole lot to say about the end of the fourth series of the MCU. It's been a mixed bag, the whole MCU thing, all the way up to the Eternals wasn't that great. About the first part and the last part of Shang-Chi were good, but right. Thor, the Love and Thunder was okay. It wasn't, there were some the jokes didn't quite land in places. And there's other forgettable ones thrown in there. The Eternals, yeah, that wasn't that great. Spider-Man No Way Home was good. Very good. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was good. Very good. This one's, well, having literally just seen it, this one's an oddity too. I wouldn't say it didn't work, but it certainly isn't the first one. It's a sequel, Diminishing Returns. I understand some people are complaining about the what's going on in it. It seems kind of like a ripoff of Aquaman, which it kind of is, because they run the same thing. Even though Namor technically came out before Aquaman, they sort of retconned it into the story. That Aquaman is actually, but the movie Aquaman came out before, DC. So. This one. It isn't really, though. It doesn't have the same connection to it. It looks like although they certainly need to give the supporting actress Oscar to, I think it's Angela Bassett. That's the Queen. The rousing speech in there, that needs to be an Oscar worthy. But I doubt they'll do that just because the Oscar doesn't really like fantasy movies. The visuals are fine. There are only a few minor mistakes, few oddities. It's, I could mention that I saw Black Adam last week, but that was DC, so it's not in the same universe. This one seemed to rely more on the villain sort of explaining things. And don't do that in your movie. Although the flashback was handled well with the backstory of them, so that wasn't completely ruined. It's been a year since the character Chadwick Boseman died. So in the movie they just sort of say undisclosed illness and he died, and everyone's mourning him still, and the Queen wants the daughter to get out more, and the daughter wants to do stuff more. The spoilers, I guess. I think that the super agent guy is the guy from. I'm not sure. That wasn't paying attention to the agent so much, and that little B story with the agent and his ex in there. I think they're from the WandaVision movie. I think. And they spend most of the movie getting humiliated in some way or another. There's a bad guy who is apparently attacked the submarine thing with mer people. There's a submarine looking for vibranium down on the earth, on the seafloor, and then. They try to blame the Wakandans for it, but the Wakandans didn't do it. It's actually these other guys, and Suri and the warrior lady go to find out what's going on in the town, and also to find the scientist that created the vibranium thing. And she's sort of a young Tony Stark prodigy thing who has built a mech suit. She says she's 19 in the story. So. So this suppose there might be some people annoyed that young people are in it, but isn't the Young Avengers a thing? The comics, Young Avengers, Avengers West Coast or whatever. But they're on the East Coast in the stories. Yeah, so should she Alpha Flight then? I don't know. But she does look like a Transformer later on. It looks like a live action version of Windblade. A little Minerva thrown in there. But yeah, the and some people were giving away stuff. There actually is a mid-credit sequence. People were saying there wasn't one. There is. The mid-credits, there is one. So go and see that. It's just so fluid with the rest of it that you don't notice it, but no, it's totally there. The bad guys turn out to be this weird sort of pseudo-Mayan sea people that were generated by ingesting an herb similar to the heart-shaped herb which was destroyed in the last movie, and somehow it gave them the ability to breathe underwater, and then it like made them not able to breathe on land somehow, and that's kind of thrown off in places because the actors forget what they're doing. There's a lot of them, so some of them forget. Yeah, but Namor was born of both worlds because he was like a mutant. At one point they say that, and he was born like in the 1600s when the slaver people were. Where's that? That's got to be the Spanish conquistadors, I guess. But he gets revenge on them or something. There's a lot of vengeance in the movie. Trying not to be vengeance, and all that. They tried to hide who was going to be the next Black Panther all the way through the movie. Spoilers. It's pretty obvious from the get-go. They're not hiding anything. Somehow they'll figure out a way to get the herb back, and she's a scientist. Yes, sorry. Yeah, it's obviously going to be Shuri. So, but it makes sense in the movie because they established that she synthesizes it. It's essentially synthetic. Somehow it grows later. I don't know how that works, but yeah. So with the other DNA from the alien. So the flying Aztec Mayan god guy who's Aztec, Mayan, Mesopotamian, and something else, Mesoamerican in general. His city, Atlanta, has because they can't call it Atlantis. His city has all these other, like, very, very Donnelly and Hancock kind of crazy world underneath the ocean kind of thing going on. That kind of Atlantis. The kind of Atlantis from modern Ancient Aliens. Yeah. Not as believable as the one in Aquaman, which was more ancient looking and weirder. Aquaman, it made more sense. But this one, they couldn't call it Atlantis. Because, it would confuse things. I think they still could have, though. I think they just could have said, it's the other Atlantis or something. But they tried to capture the Atlanteans. The Atlanteans try to capture the scientist. They capture the scientist and the princess, and they take her down in the ocean. He tries to convince her to join his side in the alliance kind of thing. Then they are freed by the lady from Haiti. The lady from Haiti, who was one of I guess Chadwick Boseman character's T'Challa's wife. I guess that's what she is. Didn't know. I forgot that. Didn't know that he had one, but I guess he does. And she frees them, but they kill one of the mer people, and that causes them to want to go to war over one mer person. Doesn't really make sense. How could their society have survived for 500 years or so, or 600 years, and without this one guy getting pissed off and like killing everybody? Doesn't really make sense. It's a very westernized version of how that would have worked. Even though even though they're trying to write it for the Mesoamericans audience, whereas the Aztecs and the Mayans, some of those groups were bloodthirsty, but they were bloodthirsty in the end because the Spanish were attacking them. How bloodthirsty were they before the Spanish were attacking them? Probably less so. We don't know. Hard to tell. But their pyramids were not tombs. Their pyramids were like mountain chamber things. So they were different from Egyptian pyramids. So yeah, it's and yeah, I'm not an expert on any of that stuff, so don't quote me on it. But it does seem it's odd that the your main bad guy is trying to be sympathetic and be an anti-hero. He doesn't quite succeed because he like attacks Wakanda and probably kills 1 billion people, like the city when they flood it, and kills the queen and all that. And just for that one mistake with that one person doesn't really make sense. He was being an evil villain, but he'd already explained what he was going to do, this alliance thing, to the hero to explain how to defeat the villain. Yeah, kind of like in Battlefield Earth was an infamous case where they were training the humans to fight with the fighter pilots and have math and understand that, so they could end up blowing up the planet of the Cyclones. Same idea here. It's like, oh, let's just train them how to fight us, and then they'll understand us, and then, well, they'll defeat us. But yeah, so it's sort of a stalemate at the end because we have the revenge thing, and then deciding not to revenge thing at the end. Spoilers. But yeah, it's a lot is writing on whether whether it works. And I think most of the time it does. It's from the Wakanda perspective. Do we need the agent guy looking for the necklace thing? That doesn't go anywhere. Except that the necklace is found, and then later on by the agent lady's ex-wife and the agent guy's ex-wife, and yeah. And then he's arrested, and then he's freed later by the Panther thing. She synthesizes a new version of the Panther serum and takes it. It somehow works. There are stuff that doesn't make sense. How do the water bombs work? None of them get the bends ever going through the surface up to the ocean to the surface. They look a little bit like the characters from Avatar, but that's just because blue fish people. I don't think they intended to make them look like that. He's supposed to be Kal Kat, the feathered flying serpent, but at no point does he have feathers as in wings. They're on his feet, which is totally different. But he's Namor, the Submariner. You get to see a Namor the Submariner comic. I remember Big Tim had some of those comic books back in the day. Yeah, Namor the Submariner. And I don't think he was necessarily... I don't think he's Hispanic originally. Like they did that in the movie, but I don't think he was. I think he just had this odd name, and he was... I don't think he was Mayan. I don't think so. Maybe he was. But they play that up in this one. It was fine. It worked. It just had... It wasn't great. This is the finale. It's the 4th series finale. It wasn't an ensemble, except it was an Wakandan ensemble. And I think it was one drawback to it. Certainly not the idea that Shuri becomes the Panther. That was cool. I knew it was going to happen because it's in the comics. But the Namor stuff was a little different because they couldn't do Aquaman, so they were trying really, really, really hard not to rip off Aquaman. But yeah, I don't know if they quite captured it though. I mean, it's not. It certainly isn't 4-star epic super duper movie. It's 3.5. It's fine. It's not 4 stars. Parts of it didn't make you want to go like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It was fine. It was fine. Expect a little more from that. I think Love and Thunder had more moments where it was more like awesome and stuff than this one does. It seems like they ran out of steam in parts. Spent a lot of time creating DNA or something, or making a thing to synthesize the drug, or talk about revenge or not get revenge. And a scene with Killmonger in it, yeah, in the afterlife. Lots of flashbacks and stuff. It threw them for a loop because Chadwick Boseman actually died of cancer, and they were like, "How are we going to do this sequel? We're going to have to change everything." You can tell they had to change everything. They obviously had an earlier version in mind that would have had other people doing what they were doing, and they changed it. That would be the only drawback, really, that they didn't have enough going on, put it together. Anyway, so in the end, Wakanda Forever is fine, and yeah, so that's my review. That's fine. Yeah.